What's up guys, Fuffin here, and today I'm going to have this little video for you guys. I didn't script it, there's not a lot of editing or any of that. It's just a regular build guide like I made before for my King Cog. I don't know if you guys will enjoy this more or less, but if you guys would please let me know down in the comments if you like this form of non-scripted content that can come out a whole lot faster. I will be sure to make these in between my regular long-form video content that, takes some more time for some pretty editing and all that. But yeah, anyway, this video I'm going to show you how to play the Moonlight build featuring Aphelios. Basically, the Moonlight trait just allows you to have your lowest star or thing with the highest items and the lowest star it'll level up. So if you have all level 1s, you'll get one level 2. If you have all level 2s, you'll get one level 3. If you get all level 3s, you will get a level 4, which is something that no other build can do in the game. There are hunter buffs also in the build, which will just allow all of the hunters to attack one unit every few seconds for a amount of their attack damage, just as a regular auto attack or whatever. And then you just have your brawler frontline, which just has a bunch of health. So I hope you guys will enjoy this video. Hopefully I am able to kind of explain it better without a script. And if you guys absolutely hate this content or hate this form of it, or if you didn't learn well enough, just let me know and I will continue to make the videos where I can actually take time to script, edit, and break things down a whole lot better. But with all this out of the way, let's actually get into the breakdown of the actual build itself. Alright, what's up guys, Fuffin here, and today I'm going to try and teach you guys how to play the Moonlight Aphelios Hunter build. So, I don't have a script for this, I'm just going to kind of wing this because I've been playing this build a lot and I wanted to just kind of get this video out as quick as I could, so if there's a lot of dead time or any of that, I apologize. I don't have this scripted out like I said. But basically, there's 3 variations of this build that I think can work pretty well. And I'll go through the end game of the build first so you kind of see what you want to work toward. But basically, you want something like this. Ideally, you can have like a brawler opening. That'll be fine. But the way that you want to play this build is if you can get a Rage Blade on Aphelios, because the build is basically you stall while Aphelios can just tear down the entire team. So ideal items I think are Rage Blade, QSS, and GA for Aphelios. And kind of literally anything else can go on anyone else. So if you get AP items, you can either put them on Kindred or Nunu. If you get tank items, they can go on Nunu or Warwick. And if you get additional AD items, they can go on Ashe. So that's generally, these aren't the obviously what the items that you want to go with, but they're just the idea of what you want to go with. But in essence, pretty much anything will work after this point. The little signifiers of when you should go this build is if you get a chosen Aphelios in your shop and have one of these. So you could probably drop one of the defensive items on Aphelios for like a Giant Slayer. And the current meta brawlers are really, really popular, so that would be perfectly fine. But if you get a Aphelios who is chosen, he will have either Hunter or Moonlight. So the only variation I'll talk about here between the two. So, I mean, if you get Hunter, this is perfectly fine. This is what you want to go for. And then you have 2 ways of going about this. Because if you have Moonlight, you can either go the slow roll build or the fast 8 build. Now, if you're going the slow roll build, what you basically want is to 3-star your Aphelios, your Lysandra, and your Silas. Now, this build is very high risk, high reward. Because if you get all 3 of these 3-starred, then you get the 4-star Phelios. And a 4-star Phelios with Rage Blade and one of the other defensive items will almost single-handedly carry you to a top 2. The only other thing here is if you choose to go the slow or the fast 8 is you're only going to 2-star each of them. which will require less resources, but you will lose a ton of power in the mid game if you don't hit your other units. So if you end up going the fast 8 build, you actually have a chance to play sort of a different variation once the end game comes around. So you could actually end up dropping the Maokai here and adding in Set and adding in a Lux. So I guess I can simulate that. So if you happen to go fast 8 and then manage to make it to level 9, you can drop Elderwood, putting in Set over Maokai. And then you can end up putting Lux. And in the game that I'll show you guys today, this is basically what I did at the end of the game. So this, I think, is the best way to do it. I think it's really good. But this is also one of the harder things to do. And I think in my build I had 3-starred everything also. So I was high-rolling that game a little bit. But basically, the idea of this build is you want to, first off, if you open the game, you will have chances to hit, your 1-stars. If you hit a couple brawlers in the opening, that could be a good start. Or if you hit, like, a couple Moonlight. Ideally, you just want to play anything that's strong, but these are really good to make a smooth transition. So if you go the Moonlight route, for instance, which I think is weaker than the brawler route, let's say that you hit these and then maybe Silas. This can be a decent opening. You'll just need to 2-star everything as fast as possible. You will not level at all until you naturally level to 5. So you need to be saving all your gold and just preserving as much health as you can. Diana can hold the Phelios items. So if you happen to get, like, a Rage Blade or something, you can just slap it on her. Because eventually, when you find a 2-star Aphelios, you are going to want to put that in over Diana. And this is significantly better. Like, if you get an early Aphelios, this can be really, really good. And then, like I said, if you happen to get Moonlight Aphelios with Hunter, this is a crazy opening. Now, what I should mention, too, is if you get Moonlight Aphelios, you will not be running Lysandra. So, this is probably best case scenario if you happen to have an opening like this, or, instead of something like this, maybe you have, just something like, I guess, Yasuo would probably be stronger than the 3rd brawler, or, something of the sort. But, basically, you would just want to, have something like this going on. Moonlight Aphelios is really good because it makes you not have to sit on level 4 for the entire game, or level 5. In essence, you want to sit on level 5. If you don't have Moonlight Aphelios and have to run the Lysandra, you basically have to sit on level 5 until she's 3-star, or until you're 1 away from her being 3-starred. So, that's why that is a little bit tricky to be running. Ideally, you'd want to get things like Maokai. If you're running the Yasuo 2-star. Tahm Kench is fine. So, this could be your level 5. If you happen to hit, like, Kindred or something instead, you could definitely drop this. Or, Kindred or, like, Nunu. Nunu's good. So, these are, just some couple early game options. I don't personally like running Kindred. I prefer to try to get 4 Brawler, because I think that this is extremely strong right now. In general, this could be a really good start if you have, neither of the Chosen. But playing this comp without a Phelios Chosen or like a Moonlight Silas Chosen is just a little bit risky in my opinion. I think Hunter Aphelios might be better if you don't low roll the Lysandra really hard, because if you get the Hunter Aphelios, then, I mean, you can get 5 Hunter, which is absolutely insane. So, anyway, after we get through this point in the mid-game, basically, you're going to look for your Hunters. So, hopefully by this point, when you happen to find things like Ashe and Warwick. So Warwick will always replace Tom Kench, or if you're running Vi instead of Tom Kench, same thing. So, in general, something like this, you know. Ideally, by this point, level 7, you would have had Silas or Aphelios. 3-starred, and if you're not, well, that's what you're going to be doing for a while. Maybe you have Nunu 2-starred, and maybe Ashe is like, 1 away from 2-star. So this would be a good scenario. Ideally, you would be able to have a second Aphelios item, because unfortunately, the build will pretty much entirely rely on if he's able to do things. Now, you can stack, like I said, items on other people to kind of delay the build, but your win condition for this build, if you're slow rolling, is level 3 of all your units, and then getting to level 8 and filling out the rest of your comp, which at this point will just be Kindred, so it'll give you 5 Hunter. So, we throw her in, and, this is how you would stack it. Right side, the other side, as I showed you in the beginning, only you'd have this Kindred in the little splash mark spot. So, this would be really good, for your level 8. And then you can go level 9 if you want and put in something like Lee Sin or, just a legendary that would be good. But most of the time, you can probably just sit on this till the end of the game and then maybe work on getting like Ashe 2, Warwick 2, and just this should survive you long enough. The way that this build plays out is that you want to have enough frontline to just stall Aphelios to constantly be doing damage. That's it. That is your win condition. So, the reason why we would go these items on Aphelios is that it'll be, Rage Blade for his damage, because attack speed is basically all that he needs. Hunter will do a ton of damage and all that. GA, because the sword will give him some extra damage, and his turrets will fire after his death, which means that when he dies, he has a chance to kill 1 or 2 more units most of the time. Quicksilver is, besides that, I believe that the only other thing that we need to talk about is, instead of getting these Chosens, if you ended up getting a Brawler Chosen, you can always just move into Brawler Ashe. Right now, I think it's the most consistent build, so without further ado, I'm going to hop into a game where I played this build, and where I did a lot of things that I think that will provide a lot of information to. So without further ado, we're going to hop into a game. I am not going to show the full game. It was 40 minutes long. It was a very hard game, but I will explain how I had closed the game out and everything that I did, including a lot of little things that I think new players to the build might do, but I think that are mistakes and will be fine to go over. Alright, so now we're in the opening of the game, and we happen to get probably the worst opening besides maybe Spatula's. If you're trying to force Moonlight every game. The defensive Carousel is not very good, but I think that getting either, anything here is going to be equally as bad, but if you get things that aren't the belt, you can easily put it on Aphelios. For me, this one, I ended up getting the Tom Kench, I believe, with the belt. And the reason why I did that is because I was leaving myself open to play Brawler Ashe. If you don't know how to play Brawler Ashe, then definitely don't go for the belt. But belt is really good on Tom Kench in the beginning of the game. And I just wanted to be able to either use that for Brawler Ashe to make Sunfire, or move it into something else. But in any circumstance, I would rather go for the vest, and maybe Negatron Cloak. I really don't like starting Negatron Cloak, so it was either vest or belt in this case. But I have the sound muted and everything too. It picked up a lot of extra background noise off my microphone, so it is what it is. But we're going to just skip through this. Like I said, it was 40 minutes long. So basically, we just open the game. We end up getting a drop for gold. So I believe in this opening I had a pretty bad item opening. But basically, in the shop, we have the Lysandra, Diana, and another Tom Kench. So I buy the Tom Kench, and what I'll do in most of my games is I'll take the item off of this Tom Kench. And the reason for that is that when you buy something from the shop, it has a higher chance of being in your next shop. So I did not want a Tahm Kench with a belt if I could make something else on someone else that I think could use it better. So I always like to leave myself open all the time, and I'll end up getting another Tahm Kench on the next shop most likely. So that's kind of why I do this thing. There are some people who will leave it, but for me personally, I always just try to get rid of them. And then I will pick up these Moonlights because, I mean, it's I know how to play the build, and a lot of people don't like it. I do a quick scout, and I don't think anyone had it yet. There was one person with some Dianas, but basically, that's just my thought process for that. We end up getting a sword. So we hit another Tahm Kench, which would have been Tahm Kench 2, which would have been really good. But the other thing with Moonlight is that if you don't get good items, you absolutely need to lose streak early. I see that one person has gotten more Moonlight stuff, so that's a little bit dissuading me from playing Moonlight. But at this point, what are you going to do? So I'm just trying to leave myself as open as possible. I'm going to end up buying the Tahm Kench, and it's really hard to, kind of see where I want to go, because I could possibly pick up the Jax or Zed, but right now I don't have items for either of them, so, unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I have pretty bad opening items, can't really use anything here, and I buy the Tahm Kench, and then I buy a second Tahm Kench, giving me this level 2 Tahm Kench. That is pretty much what I think is the best there. The only improvement I think to here would be to buy the Thresh and put it in over the Diana. But right now, I kind of am iffy on winning. I can afford to lose, especially because I can make gold here if I end up winning. So I do sell the Lissandra. So I'm not locking myself into Moonlight just yet. Now, I contemplate buying this Wukong, but I don't have another Vanguard to go with it, so instead I'll buy the Maokai, drop the Maokai in. So you're constantly wanting to improve your board. So even though that we're not going Brawlers, we're not going Moonlight yet, we have Brawlers plus damage, being our Lissandra, who, isn't super good. But because we can't slam any items, we are going to end up losing to the level 2 Yasuo chosen with an Infinity Edge. So it is what it is. That's not a fight most people are going to be able to beat. And we'll move on. So this is where I see a guy with, 4 Dianas and Lissandra. And, the Moonlight Diana. So that's where I'm picking up Brawlers here, and I'm kind of considering what I should be doing. But here I kind of contemplate selling something because I want to make Econ here. Now, if I really wanted to, I should have lost this by putting in the Nunu, or, having a higher chance of doing it. But if I win it, I'll be, in a decent spot anyway, and I can always sell the Maokai. Maokai will be less valuable. However, I end up winning it, which gives me 10 gold. You always, with this build, need 10 gold before the carousel. You will never be leveling, so you need 10 gold or 20 gold. Now, I am at 10 gold with 96 health, which is really good, unless I don't get anything for him. I don't think I mentioned it, but I also ended up getting the chosen Aphelios Hunter, so that's really good. There is an Aphelios here with a bow, but I'll end up... Long story short, I get the bow, and I'll sell the Aphelios. So that's basically that. I'm trying not to waste too much time. I need to figure out how to get this bottom thing off my screen. Okay. So we get that. We get to make the Rage Blade. Like I said, Rage Blade, absolutely necessary. The only thing here that would be an improvement would be putting the Giant's Belt on Nunu. It might have won me this fight a whole lot cleaner. But, it is what it is. I think I put it on Nunu next turn anyway, so we just keep slowly improving the board. We have this Diana that we're keeping in because we want Moonlight. Now, we've picked up a Lissandra 2, which is really good. And in essence, I'm just looking here for who I fought against and assassins. You always want to try and not be, in the line of fire of assassins when you play this build. because they're one of the things that can absolutely shred you if you don't have Guardian Angel, which at this point I do not. So basically we're just going to continue on, and I don't believe I win this. It's kind of hard to beat cultists. This is why losing early is usually really safe, because there's stuff that you just won't beat and there's stuff that you might beat. But anyway, we go here. We're making 40 gold. We're in a really good spot for that. Now, we could buy the Vi here, but I don't want to see her in the next shop. I would rather see Silas. So, you know, we contemplate making the Bloodthirster. Bloodthirster is another okay item on Aphelios, because it kind of does the job of Guardian Angel in a sense. But I prefer Guardian Angel because of the res, and I think that with my other two items, I might be able to do something else. So, we pick up the Aphelios, and I go to look at the Moonlight player, I believe, because he is rolling down a lot of gold here. He's just continuing to roll. And my thing is, I'm not going to fight him to roll down for these level 1 units, because once I start rolling to match his roll, he's already way ahead for units. He's only needing 2 Dianas and some Lissandras. But I'm not fighting for Diana. I'm fighting for Aphelios. And then he picks up the Akali, which makes me 100% believe that he's trying to do the assassin build. So I know that Aphelios is still uncontested. I believe that I could probably still fight for it. So, you know, we hit the level 2 Diana on our own also. I'm trying to skip through a bunch of stuff, but, you know, it's not the best, but it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, we'll move on. So now at level 5, basically you want to be slow rolling, which is just after you have 50 gold, you are just going to slowly spend your interest gold down to 50 and attempt to get your units. So the only things I'm looking for here are, you know, possibly Maokai and the Moonlight units. So we do hit the level 2 Silas and put it in over the Diana. If you only have the level 1 Silas, never put it in over Diana, because your Moonlights always have to be as high of a level on the field as they can. Diana, I don't think, is as good of a unit in this comp as Silas is. However, Silas, being a level 1, would become a level 2 if that situation was playing out. If Aphelios was level 3 because of the Diana 2, that'd be a whole lot better than Silas being Silas 2 because of him being a Silas 1. So, you know, that is what it is. I personally think that, you know, that hitting all this really was winning me this win game. Mid-game anyway. Now, the only other thing here is that it is possible to buy this Kindred here and put it in over Maokai. But the Hunter bonus that you get from it, I don't think is as strong, and I think that in this specific circumstance, it's not really good to, like, give up your front line. Kindred's good at distracting 1 or 2 units, but she's still squishy. And with, you know, the 2 brawler buff on 3 brawlers, I think it's a better circumstance. The other thing with this build is that, yes, you basically just need to constantly be repositioning. You see that I consider buying the Kindred, but I end up skipping it and pick up a Maokai instead. Maokai 2 is great. Get another Lissandra. And we're just maintaining over 50 gold. Getting the win streaks and all that is really important. If you are win streaking, you need to maintain it, because this build can start to fall behind really hard, especially because after you get your 2 stars, you have to wait till you get 3 stars, so you will end up falling behind very quickly if you can't keep up with the pace of the battle. This is how a lot of slow roll comps work, and a lot of times you might be at the mercy of the game, but just make sure to not miss any units, and you'll have higher chances of hitting those units. So again, we're just going to keep rolling. We hit the Lissandra. We hit another Lissandra. We roll. We see a couple Dianas, which means we might hit another Lissandra in a couple rolls. Especially right after this roll. You know, we have a bunch of 1-star units. And the way that you can roll now is that you will never find the same units twice. So, yeah, I see that this guy's trying to position against me. So, I'm trying to, fake him out. But, anyway, we hit this. Now, you'll see that I keep rolling sub 50. The reason why I do this is that once you hit like 47 gold like I did, you will never make that economy. So, I would rather roll down to 40 because you might lose like the 1 gold or whatever. And still maintain because you're always going to have that same amount of gold. It just means you might not be able to roll next turn, but I think it's just more worthwhile of an investment. So here we're trying to get either QSS or Guardian Angel. The items for Aphelios are pretty diverse, and I think that it's fine to go either of those. So obviously the things that I'm looking at here are the Evelyn and the Ashe. The Silas isn't something I want to pick up, because if I pick up the Silas, I'll have to sell him anyway, and I don't think that that's worth it. The 3 cost crit glove is way better than the 2 cost crit glove, and that's what I believe I get here. So, yes, we get it, and then we hit a Silas anyway. So if we had bought that Silas, there's a chance that we didn't hit that same Silas because it would have been out of the pool. Anyway, now we're just maintaining. We see that this guy is still rolling. He's way lower on gold, which means that he's actively rolling really hard. Which means that if we tried to roll down here, we would just be screwing ourselves over. I look, no one else is actually playing Lysandra, so it's possible that both of us would actually get 3 stars on our Lysandra here. But we play this out, we win this fight. We'll just keep going, keep rolling. And now, at the round before creeps, I usually would never do this, but considering I am 1 Lysandra away, and, 2 Aphelioses, I just really want to get off level 5. When you are rolling in this build, you will maintain level 5 until, you have hit your 3-star 1 cost, if you're running them. This is why getting Moonlight is really good on Aphelios or Silas, because it allows you to not have to stay level 5 like this. You could easily move to level 6 and have Brawler and Hunter in right now. So, just some more stuff to think about, but either way, unfortunately, not hitting in that extra 10 gold ends up, still losing us this. The only thing here that could have been possible to, deal with is if we sold the Kindred, but I still would like to put in Kindred as my next thing, so. Alright, but we hit this, and now we are no longer interested in rolling. So I will sell this Kindred if it means that I get Econ. My next level is either Kindred or a Brawler. Ideally, I think Brawler is better, so. But you can see that I'm considering what I think might be better. I'm looking at everything. This is how you kind of want to be playing it. But, we have about 4 gold on our bench that we can get rid of. And next turn, we're going to look to level up. Because while at level 6, we have a higher chance of finding what we need. So, for items here, I kind of didn't hit anything particularly good besides maybe Warmogs on Nunu. Trying to find the Brawler, but we're going to level. We're going to drop in the Kindred and get rid of the Diana so we can maintain Econ. And then we're going to put Warmogs on the Nunu. Now, the only other thing that I could think of that would be good here is actually Thieves Gloving the Kindred. But my idea was to greed a turn, and whatever Brawler I pick up will get the Thieves Gloves. Ideally, it would be Warwick for both Hunter and Brawler, but, it is what it is. We win, and then we will actually level to 7 here. So, at 6 and 7, you have the same chance of finding Aphelios and Silas. And I think that getting 4 Brawler here is way, way better than just, wasting a bunch of, 20 gold or whatever to look for Aphelios and them. I would rather level to 7 and then roll some gold down. And that's a decision that people might make differently. But right now, I've won one, so I need to maintain that win streak if possible. And getting 4 Brawler here would absolutely be wonderful. But we're going to roll. We hit the Vi. And I'm just going to keep rolling, seeing if there's anything else Again, like I'm at 5 gold and I don't have anything to sell to make my gold back. So there's not really much to do there. The only thing here that would have been better is making the Thieves' Gloves faster and then maybe, repositioning for it. But at that point, I'm just kind of working through it. This guy's playing Spirit Zed, but he has not, good items on Zed, so he loses. Anyway, we go to the next thing. I pick up an Ashe here, and I end up remaking the Vi and selling the Kindred so I can make 9 gold. So in a perfect world, I win this, I get 10 gold, and I will be in an extremely good spot to be streaking. However, I go against the guy who I'm playing the mirror match against, and he's got assassins, which absolutely will destroy me. So it's only 5 assassins, but the Diana has a gunblade. So unfortunately, that's pretty bad. And if you can tell by their gold, they're not actually doing good. At 9 gold, because I lost, I'm never going to make the econ. So I choose to roll one more time, and I end up hitting another Ashe and an Aphelios. So it just means that my econ is going to be fucked for a while. But regardless, I'm still going to be able to, be doing things. So, we look for something here I didn't see. Yeah, it's whatever. So we end up getting Rageblade components. That's what it was. So I have a sword on Aphelios, which means that I could go for GA. However, the neutral creep round is coming up here soon. So if I don't hit GA, then, I have a sword on Aphelios. And it is possible to go Giant Slayer here on Aphelios. However, I don't have anyone to hold this rod, which is a little bit of an issue. The only person who could hold it is Nunu. But if I don't hit anything, if I don't hit anything good with sword, or if I hit things better with sword, I'll be better. It's just, I think that not slamming these items lets me open for a lot of things. Plus, because I have a second Rageblade now, it allows me to possibly go double Rageblade on Aphelios. So we end up going in, and we end up winning a fight. So ideally here, you'd be trying to save gold. I just hit a Vi and a Kindred, so it's not going to ruin my econ because I can't sell the Ashe to make econ here, and I end up hitting Silas. So might have hit Silas a little bit earlier, I'm not sure. But anyway, we just keep going through. And ideally now, I just want to econ. I need gold to possibly go to level 8. Once I hit Aphelios, ideally, I'll probably stay at 7, for now, until I hit Aphelios, because hitting Aphelios 3 is, like I said before in the guide part, absolutely crucial. But we're just going to skip through. And as you can see, this is what I ended up getting, just a rod from the neutrals. So I put the rod on Nunu because, yes, he can use it. So instead of a death cap on Nunu, I'm choosing for Gunblade. And the reason why I choose Gunblade is that Nunu will actually heal a decent amount. And also, if I end up switching him out for somebody, Set is someone who can use Gunblade pretty well too. And that is something that I will choose to opt into. So I have, 20 gold, and I'm just choosing to hold on to gold for a little bit. Ideally, like I said in this comp, you want to save your gold as much as you can. So here, I hit 30 gold, and then I start losing. I see that there's people with, this guy's a Set and a Z3, so a chosen shade Z3, by the way. So basically, I look around. Getting that Aphelios would have been pretty decent too, because it would have popped off an item. But anyway, I end up hitting the Aphelios in my shop. I think this is the spot. So basically, I was looking ideally for that Set, but I end up grabbing the Ionic Spark here. Again, it's an item that's never going to be bad. So I'll just grab it, throw it on the Nunu. It just sucks that it's on a Twisted Fate, and I just don't think that Chalice would be good enough. So basically, I go to 8 here after I hit my Aphelios 3. And now I'm going to, basically having my hunters here and all that's really good. So the only possible things that I can choose to upgrade here is my Ashe and my Kindred. At this point, I have to either sit on this and upgrade my gold or try to find some way to beat these guys. But I end up going against this guy, and I end up beating him. He's someone who I lost to earlier, but... So, just constant repositioning. There's not much to talk about at this point. We've been, able to maintain health pretty well in this lobby, and we hit Ashe 2. So now we have Ashe 2, which means that we have a second carry. Besides the Nunu being able to be a huge bullet sponge, Ashe is getting some items. She gets a Rage Blade and I believe a Giant Slayer off either the Carousel or the neutrals. It's off the Carousel. So we can actually itemize her. And so we're just going to continue going. I've basically kind of been donkey rolling a little bit, trying to get, Warwick 2 and all that. I believe the only thing that I have now is a Nunu 2 because I sold it to get Warwick 2. Nunu 2 over Warwick 2, obviously. And at this point, we are in a really good spot. So most people in the lobby are within 3 hits, and we're at 4. Or 3 really bad ones, which we're not going to take any bad fights with this comp. So, crazy fucking Yasuo. Exile 2 Yasuo. And so we're just going to keep rolling, and I'm constantly debating on whether or not to, roll or not. Now, I'm kind of wanting to give up Brawler 4, because I need something else in. And like I said before, I think Dazzler would be really good here. Or not Dazzler, but Lux. I just need more stuff to disrupt. So I put in Shen and Lux for CC. And that Shen is basically a placeholder for Set. Which is, my final win condition here. So, to make a long story short, we roll a bunch, and we end up putting in Set. So, this is our final build. And I guess a final note on positioning is if you're ever against a Set, you can position in 2 little clumps. So that you have your carries on one side and... 2 carries. So I have 3 items on Ashe, 1 not being that good. And I have 3 items on Aphelios. In addition to 3 items on my frontliner being Set and my Warwick. So, because my Set ulted their Set first, it brought everything to the back line. And then both of our Sets go and do push-ups. But, as you can tell, we're able to close the game out. With a fair bit of health, too. So, that's pretty much it for the Moonlight build. That's kind of a good way to navigate the build. And thank you guys for watching. I hope this worked out. I hope the no script thing was better. But anyway, catch you guys later. Peace.